Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 122 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. This week we start off with a shave of the day. Okay, so I watched the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I live in a house divided. Another shave of the day. This weekend, I took single edge to a whole new level. Tell you all about that one. Monday shave of the day, and then, ouch. Oh, a little muscle memory. Followed by a Tuesday shave of the day. A mental exercise. I find myself distracted by things sometimes, and well, sometimes it's a good thing. Wednesday shave of the day. Wickham Soap Company is back in business. I'll put a link to the show notes. Go check him out. Shortcuts. Do you know them? Sometimes you need to. And finally, don't sweat the small stuff. However, speaking of small stuff, one of the things that I wanted to throw out there just right here at the beginning of the show is I've got a link to a website for a razor that is made from a single folded sheet of water-resistant paper. So we have gone all the way from razors that have lasers in them and, blades that are made out of crystals and just all kinds of stuff, razors that are designed stainless steel beauties that are just perfect and beautiful, all the way down to a single piece of folded paper. Sometimes humans just amaze me. But, I got to admit, I do enjoy the creativity that is, exemplified by something like this. So, if you get a chance, check that out. And I'll have all the links to the show notes. And, let's go ahead and get on with this thing. Well, it is a damp morning out here this morning, and I must be honest, after yesterday checking the mobile studio and making sure that the repair worked and that there was no more water dripping into the mobile studio, okay, I'm done with the rain. It can go away now. Holy cow. Everything's just like sloppy. You can't walk across the yard because you'll sink. Holy cow. It's like it never ends. So, I wish we could give the water to a few other places, but unfortunately, we can't. So here it is. Anyhow, let's talk about the shave of the day. So the shave of the day, use some Cold River Soapworks Select. Now, just quite honestly, what I did this morning is I didn't really have a game plan, and so I opened the cabinet and peered inside to see what I had, and grabbed the first thing that came to my mind, and so that I saw that I went, ooh, yeah, I want one of those. And grabbed that. Now, I also grabbed my Gem Damascene razor, and for those of you that are unfamiliar, the Damascene is a single-edged razor that was back in the early 1900s. Kind of a stamped steel, chrome-plated. It's got a round, knurled handle with a little bit of weight in it, and a very thin, slim neck. Beautiful, beautiful razor, and the thing that is so nice about the Damascene is that it is highly regarded, and I will add my 2 cents worth into that vote, that it is one of the best vintage single-edge razors that you can have, and it's probably my favorite of the old single-edged razors. Gem, Damascene, that's kind of the go-to for me. For the ones that are a little bit more modern, I would probably say the Gem Featherweight, but the Gem Damascene for the old vintage ones, the really old ones are, that's the one right there. But single edge blade, the PAL carbon steel blade, which happens to be my favorite, and threw that in there and proceeded to lather up. Used my electric scuttle because, well, it was just a bit chilly, and I did have a little bit of time, and a nice, luxurious, warm lather, 3-pass shave, BBS, not a problem, just nice, good stuff. Finished up with some Cold River Soap Works balm that I have, and some cedar, and I can't remember what it is. It's cedar and something. Anyhow, beautiful balm. I love the smell of it. And yeah, good stuff. Great day. Got everything organized. Cup of coffee in the mobile studio, so life is good. And we're out here in negotiating traffic. And it's interesting because I'm a little later than I usually am. And in one part of the trip, there was like nobody, because apparently they were all here. I'm sitting in a lot more traffic than what I'm used to. Interesting and curious. It's funny sometimes you see that, or you notice patterns in the way things work, in vehicular traffic, or where people congregate or stuff like that, and it's just interesting. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm a people watcher. So the other thing that's interesting, of course, is that it is the political season down here in South Carolina, with the primaries just around the corner, and of course the airwaves and radio and just everything, television, it's just mail inundated, absolutely inundated with political marketing. And that's exactly what it all is. It's marketing. They will tell you, for example, that this guy isn't this, or he's that, or whatever, and it may or may not be true. All they're trying to do is sway just a few people, just enough people. And, you think about it, and you think about how we're marketed to in all aspects of our life, and probably nowhere more so than in the political arena. Because I would hazard a guess that when a person goes and casts their vote, and it doesn't matter who the person is or what political leanings they have, they walk away after the term of whoever got in fairly disgusted with what has gone on. And 9 times out of 10, that has nothing to do with what the person said or what the ads and marketing informed you was the plan. So it's curious because you think about marketing and how often people get upset because of truth in marketing, which is kind of an oxymoron. I don't know that there is any truth in advertising or truth in marketing, but there are sciences that look at that kind of stuff, experts and specialists and everything that can tell you what to say to get a population to sway one way or another. It's very curious, you think about something as simple as the marketing that went on back in the day for vintage razors, and think to yourself that even back then, marketing something as simple as razors and razor blades was probably second fiddle to the politics of the time. So I live in a house divided. So my wife is now, okay, so I'm in South Carolina. I happen to be a Carolina Panthers fan only because they're the local team. Okay, so let me describe my desire to follow football. If it's high school football, I'm all over it because I honestly think that those guys, when they go out to play, they're playing, with heart, with soul. They're doing everything that they can do, and it's just a good competition. It is fun to watch. Now, Granted, it helps that I know a lot of the kids on the team, but at the same time, it's fun to watch. All right. Next to that is college football. I adore my Clemson Tigers, okay? And it is just absolutely fun to watch college football. And, if it's somebody else other than Clemson, okay, I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it. I just like my Clemson Tigers. Okay, now, when you get up into the NFL, if there's a game on and I miss it, I don't care. If there's a championship and I don't watch all of it, okay. But at the same time, if there is a game on, I'm going to at least pull for my Panthers, okay? Just because they're local. It's just kind of the way it is. Anyhow, my wife has been a Peyton Manning fan from back when, from way back when. And when he left Indy and went to the Broncos, well, she became a Broncos fan, only because, well, that's where Peyton Manning was. Okay. So here she is. She's down in South Carolina, and she's a Panthers fan, but they're playing Peyton. Now, she's sitting there the whole time telling me, oh, yeah, I'll root for both of them. And the whole time, she's just rooting for Peyton. Oh, yeah, it was one of those nights. But anyhow, congratulations to the Broncos. Lord knows they took the Panthers offense and just absolutely shut it down. I hadn't seen people all over Cam Newton like that for a while, so they definitely deserve that win. Congratulations to the Broncos. Good job, and, well, maybe we'll be able to do something next year. It is Morning on the Farm. It's a song that we used to sing back when the kids were little. Morning on the farm, all's quiet in the barn. Yeah. Anyhow, it's a beautiful day out today. Clear blue sky. Little chill in the air, but it's pretty much beautiful day. No more rain, which is good. It's funny. I was telling somebody I was actually looking forward to the rain, so I could check the third brake light that I had repaired a couple weeks ago, and I was really excited about it, and go out there and check it after the rain. It was like, oh yeah, this is great, and then I realized that yeah, my fix is working, and then I come out and it's still raining, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's funny the way that works sometimes. I can be excited about something 1 minute and then okay, next, click, turn it off. So anyhow, let's talk about the shave of the day. The shave of the day, I kind of did something a little bit, different. First off, I had used my Damascene the other day, and I'd used it and had good results, and everything was good. And I wanted to use another one of my single-edged razors, and so one of the things that I looked at is it possible to use a feather blade, one of the spineless feather blades, in a single-edged razor? So I said, well, let me try this little gem featherweight, and that ended up being the razor that I used because I happened to pick it up for my little experiment here and shoved a feather spineless in it, and lo and behold, the spine adds some width onto the back side of that blade, and essentially makes it so that you can't use, in its natural format anyhow, a spineless blade in a single-edged razor. Now, I'm going to try this weekend, I think, to cobble up something with some aluminum foil and see if I can't, create something that would allow me to at least, play with it. Just play with the idea a little bit. But for right now, the answer is no. The blade just kind of wobbles around, fore and aft, not side to side, but fore and aft. It was an attempt. It was a try. So anyhow, since I had the gem featherweight in hand, I went ahead and took the carbon steel blade that I used yesterday in my Damascene and shoved it into the gem featherweight. and proceeded to lather up some Omega soap. Now, the Omega soap I've had for a while. It's a plastic tube of Omega soap. It's a cream, essentially, and you squirt a little bit of the cream in. Now, of course, since I haven't used it in a while, the end kind of solidified, and so the squirting was very little in the beginning, and then it kind of blobbed out and probably got a little bit more than I needed. But regardless of that, it was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful lather. And if I'd put a little bit more water in, it would have probably flowed out of the bowl into the sink, filled the sink up. Well, you get the picture. Now, the one nice thing about the Omega is it is what I would call reminiscent, or it actually is, I guess, a European herbal soap, in that it has certain herbs in it that give it a very, very nice feel, kind of a medicated after the shave feel to it. And it's very pleasant. It's got a very nice odor, at least to my nose, and thoroughly enjoy it. It's kind of like Spike, if you've ever used Spike, and so thoroughly enjoy it. Get the big old tube of that stuff, a bigger tube than you get when you buy Spike. So that's a good deal, and it does lather up very nicely. So we lathered it up with the Samog Owners Club brush after soaking it in the electric scuttle, and the more I use it, I've always kind of wondered about the longevity of one of those little coffee cup hot plates, and so far I've been impressed. I've used this thing every morning, and I've even forgotten about it and left it on one day, and it still just kind of keeps on chugging along. So not a problem at all. So I'm real happy with that so far. I mean, for what, $12 I think I spent on it. Pretty good deal. So gem featherweight and the PAL carbon steel blade, and proceeded to give myself a 3-pass shave. I did nick myself. Well, not really nick myself. I've got a slight irritation on my upper lip, and it's like a pimple or something, and nicked into that. It didn't bleed or anything, but every time I went across it, it let me know about it. So it's one of those things, and you got to be careful with those things. The last thing that you really want to do is grind down on them and cut them open and bleed all over the place. And, it's just, no, you don't want to do that. If you have areas of sensitivity, you want to go gently over those and try to avoid creating any more issues than are already there. But all in all, it was a good shave. Didn't have any problems, and thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, taking a single edge to the next level. Okay, this weekend I got to play with something that I bought over Christmas, and that's my scythe. Okay, so I bought a scythe. I've always wanted a scythe just because I thought they were cool and neat looking, but I bought a scythe and picked it up in an antique shop for a whopping $30. Now, the scythe is the there's the blade itself, and then there's the wooden handle. The wooden handle is called the snaff. And there's multiple types of scythe blades. There are grass blades and general duty blades and brush blades. And the brush blades are short and stout and basically can chop through, well, just about anything. The grass blades are long and thin, and if you hit anything other than, well, grass, you can nick them and dent them and everything else. Now, the one that I bought had an old brush blade on it, and it had a curved wooden snaff. And I was looking at that thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. I looked at the price, and it was $30. Now, that's $30 for both the snaff and the blade. And I'm thinking, wow, because you can buy them new. But buying new, the blade itself is like $60 to $70, and then the snaff is like $60 to $70. So, I looked at that and I thought, well, just to play around with it and see what I can do with it. All right, let's do this. So I had an opportunity. I've got a pond out back, and that pond on the dam is just absolutely covered up with briars and just, they look like, it looks like raspberry or blackberry stalks, but they've got no fruit on them, and they're all over the place, and they snag you and stick to everything. It's just a nuisance. Well, I had recently cut down some trees that had grown up on the dam. It's not my property, okay, but the guy that had it had let the trees grow up, and I'm afraid that it's going to tear the dam up. And so I asked him, I said, hey, if I chop these things down, you got a problem with that? He's like, no, go for it. So I went and chopped those things down. So part of my my rehabilitation of that area was also to get that wood off of the dam, so that if I needed to, I could run a big mower over it, get a big walk-behind brush hog that I can rent for, I don't know, I think they're like $50 or something a day. Rent it up at Lowe's, run it over there, and knock that stuff down to a dull roar. But I had to get the big wood out first. In order to get the big wood out, I had to get to it. So I wanted to at least try my scythe. Okay, so first thing that I did is the scythe itself, the blade had been painted, and it wasn't sharp and all that. Now, in an original scythe, the steel is not meant to be sharpened as is normal. What it's meant to do is you're supposed to take a hammer and an anvil with a peening tool, actually, and you're supposed to peen the edge to kind of stretch it out and sharpen it. And what that also does is then work hardens the blade. Okay, that's the way that those things are supposed to be made. All right, well, I didn't do that. I threw an edge on it. I threw an edge on it with a file that was reasonable, just to see what it would do, okay? So, all right, somewhat non-traditional and not really good for the life of the blade. I understand that, but again, it's $30, and I'm playing with it just to see what it can do. So, off I go. And what I found was it is actually fairly effective at cutting brush, although it will it will give you a core workout like nobody's business. So anybody that swings a scythe around for a period of time, yeah, their core is in good shape. I can pretty much guarantee that. Anyhow, the scythe did a good job. There's a lot of speed that is built up at the blade, which makes it a very effective cutter. So I was surprised at the speed that I was able to generate at the blade. Did a pretty good job. One of the problems that I found is that doggone stuff is so tangly and sticks to everything that it would get wrapped around the blade sometimes, wrapped around the snath, wrapped around the blade, and so in the retracting swing, the swing when you're coming away from it is that you just cut, things would hang and snag and tangle, and it's kind of a pain. But the good news is that you'd swing it for a while and cut down a chunk of this stuff, and then kind of collect it up and push it over to the side, as it were, and that seemed to work and clear the area and did okay. So, all in all, it was pretty good. So, a single pass cut on the dam, and it is at least where I went, it was socially acceptable. But the fun thing is that the scythe, in fact, does work, and it probably made shorter work of the job than a weed whacker would have. No noise, with a little exercise thrown in. Now, when I say a little exercise, okay, the next day, I was discovering muscles that I didn't know I had in my lower back. And, so just be careful if you happen to go that route, because, like I said, it will give you a workout. But it is very effective. I took some pictures up on it and posted one of them up on Twitter, I think. But, my son wants it for for Halloween. It's like, Dad, can I borrow this? It's like, well, if I dull the blade, yeah. maybe make one out of plastic or something, just in case somebody falls on it. I mean, that thing's sturdy. It's a brush blade. It's got a backing. It's interesting. The back portion of the thing is very similar to a straight razor in that there is a raised back spine. It's kind of a T shape, but it's a raised back spine. I don't know if they ever use that for sharpening or what, but it does give it some rigidity, just like a straight razor. So that was kind of cool, and like I said, it does a heck of a good job, swinging it around. Now it's not sharp enough to do like grass and things like that. It's just I'd probably have to work on it a good bit to get it that way. But all in all, I'm impressed. It's something that I think I'll have one around, just because it's quite a handy little tool, and it's a lot easier sometimes to just pick up a tool than to go try to start an engine. Just saying. Sometimes that's the way it works. Anyhow, like I said, the dam now is at least where I went over in the single pass, socially acceptable. Single edge has a whole new meaning. Let's talk about the shave of the day. Okay, the shave of the day today was a wonderful shave with a straight razor, and then a little touch-up with a single-edged. Now, I've been playing around with I've been playing around with a PAL carbon steel blade and drying it off and setting it up on the counter with the edge hanging off so it gets a little bit of air circulation, just to kind of see. And what I've noticed is, yes, indeed, you do get just a bit of rust on it. It's not bad, but you get just a bit of rust on it. Now, I'm not even going to, it doesn't even matter what straight razor I use because, it just doesn't. I use some Cold River Soapworks Select as my soap of choice. Used my old Badger brush, the one with the stag handle that I've had forever. Came as a kit way back when. And it did a nice job. Threw it all in the electric scuttle, and away we go. The straight razor shave that I gave myself was, after some really good prep, an against the grain single pass straight razor shave. Now, that single pass straight razor shave did a really good job, but at the same time, it was akin to a single pass with either a single-edged or a double-edged. So it's not going to get everything. Even when I use just a slight buffing motion, it's still not going to get everything. Okay? I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So when somebody says you can do it in a single pass, I don't think you can. You might be able to. I mean, maybe somebody has a different technique that I don't know about, but yeah. Anyhow, the follow up then with the single pass, so with basically a touch up with a single edged razor, ended up giving me a BBS, or pretty close to a BBS shave in most areas. That was really pretty nice. Now, if I had spent more time on it, I probably could have, done a better job and all that. But again, it's kind of an experiment. If I don't have a whole lot of time, if I have enough time for, a double-edged or a single-edged shave, can I throw a straight razor out there and, with the time I have, do a decent job? And, yeah, I can. At least that's what I've learned this morning. So, good stuff. And there's the shave of the day. Well, it's taken about 2 days, but the workout that I gave myself, swinging my large single-edged scythe and giving the bank of the pond a socially acceptable shave, it's taken about 2 days for my muscles to calm down and decide they want to be part of my body again. There for a while, I wasn't too sure, and I was of the opinion that they were trying to escape. Yeah, it's definitely a core workout. It's, it's one of those things where if I see somebody that knows how to run a scythe and can do it for a while, yeah, I've got a newfound respect. Truly do. All right, it's a beautiful day out. Well, at least it's a day out. How about that? And we woke up, put our feet on the floor, took a deep breath. Hence, it's a beautiful day. Another chance, another opportunity to shave and enjoy life. So let's talk about the shave of the day. Okay, so I was running a little late. I woke up early for some reason. I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Woke up, couldn't get back to sleep. Sat down, read a little bit, just kind of tried to relax. Finally got back to sleep, and then had to wake up. Of course, when you have an interrupted sleep like that, you're kind of groggy in the morning, kind of not with it, not doing what you're supposed to be doing or what you need to be doing, and things are just kind of hard, It's like the engine's turning, it's running, but the idle's kind of screwed up. Anyhow, we had a slow start this morning, and so had to do something, didn't have a whole lot of time, had to do a quick shave. I got in a 3-pass shave, so all is good there. Used my my Omega shaving cream, and really enjoyed that. Always do. It's got a very, very pleasing scent and sensation, and just, it's good stuff. I really enjoy it. Now, I probably used a little bit much in the bowl. You're only supposed to use the size of about an almond. I probably had half again as much. So, okay, maybe. But even so, use the Police-On brush because, when you're using a Police-On synthetic brush or any synthetic brush, you don't need to soak it. You can just get it damp and boom, away you go. So went ahead and did that, lathered up beautifully. Oh my gosh, what a lather. The Omega is kind of like a lather machine, and the synthetic brush was no slouch. So really, really did well. Now, the other thing that's interesting is I can feel, in the lathering process and when you're applying it and everything, it feels like the synthetic brush has more soap in between the bristles than just about any other brush that I have. It's almost like I can sense it. You start off with a fairly narrow brush, and by the time you're ready to put the lather on, it's expanded to like 3 times the size. A Badger might be double, a Boar, 1.5, mainly because of the stiffness and stuff, but the synthetic brushes that I have, they just seem to really just sop up the soap, if you will. Anyhow, went ahead and shaved with my Gem Featherweight and my PAL Carbon Steel blade. Did a 3-pass shave. Was not terribly concerned, while I was doing the shave. I wasn't terribly concerned with getting BBS or anything like that. I was just shooting for socially acceptable, so didn't put a lot of time, effort into making sure that, everything was just perfect. So 3 passes, no touch-up, and yeah, it's really a nice shave, socially acceptable down along the neckline there, and pretty close to BBS on the cheeks. So all in all, good shave, especially for one that went quick and didn't put a lot of effort in. There's a lot you can do with shaving. There are times when you can sit back and kind of, piddle around with it and make sure, be meticulous and get every little nook and cranny and just, dot the I's and cross the T's and make everything just perfect. And then there's the other times where you can just, take the paintbrush and slap it on and get the job over with. And, that's something that a lot of people sometimes overlook. It's there's nuances even within the shaving experience that go beyond just the gear that we use. There's things that you can do and decisions that you can make, and it's all good. Anyhow, that was the shave of the day. Finished off with some Brut Fabergé aftershave, the stuff you buy at the dollar store or the stuff you buy at Walmart, inexpensive, classic, been around forever, and splash some of that on, and it does pretty good job. Smells good, a little fougere smell, and all is right with the world, and we're off in the big playground and, seeing what everybody else is up to. It's kind of like back when you were a kid, you wander up to the playground and really don't know if your friends are there, but you go to find out anyhow. And you see somebody you don't know, and it's like, hey, what's going on? What you doing? Yeah, I'll play. Come on. And, yeah, kind of like that. So that's what I'm out here hoping to do today. And hopefully I won't get in any fights. So, as I said the other day, I've been looking into skin-on-frame boats, kayaks, canoes, things like that. And wow, has it been fun. I've learned all kinds of stuff. Learned about how to take a set of offsets. And what offsets are is if you take a boat of any type, it doesn't matter what it is, and you measure certain distances from the bow line all the way back to the stern, and at those certain measurements, you measure at different heights. And those become a series of offsets, and by doing that, you can essentially define half of the hull of the boat. And, you double that, make an opposite on the other side, and voila, you have the three-dimensional shape of the hull of the boat. So it's kind of cool, and learned how to do that, and so that's interesting. Thought about how I would go about building one of these things, whether it be into the traditional kayak style with bent ribs, or if I want to go something a little bit more modern with plywood fuselage frames, which are plywood sections, stations inside the boat with the stringers and gunnels then attached, or do it the old classic way. Both have advantages and disadvantages, and part of the disadvantage that I'm facing is what raw materials I have available. If I had a cedar tree that was ready to be cut down and I could cut it into lengths that were appropriate, well, I'd probably go ahead and do traditional, just because I'd have the material available. But not necessarily having the material available, it's like, well, what do I do here? So, yeah, so it's fun. It is a mental exercise, trying to figure out is, back in the day, I had seen a person, instead of using plywood, for example, for the fuselage frame, it was on a bigger boat, but they were using just regular lumber and essentially laminating it in the directions that they wanted it to go for strength and everything, and putting the frame together that way. So that's always a consideration. There are, I'm in my head with what I know about both styles and both types, could you meld the two together and get something that's, well, just a little bit, I don't know, different, better, more useful? I don't know. It's one of those, like I said, mental exercises that kind of keeps rattling around up there and keeps me from being, too upset about anything else that's going on, because if I, have a spare moment to think about something that, well, I don't know, makes me mad, or something that gets in the way, I'll just go back to start thinking about that. How would I go about that? Is it better to have a keel that's slightly rounded for a skin-on-frame boat, or one that's squared off, or, those kind of things. It's really kind of fun. It truly is. I have enjoyed more than anything the process of learning, the process of putting my brain to work and trying to decide, well, what do I do now? One of the things that I'm thinking about, for example, is building a fuselage frame and then putting half ribs in it. Because I'm thinking, okay, if you have the fuselage frame, there's really no there's nothing set aside or built up for your feet and your legs and for cargo and things like that. And, could you put a series of half ribs in to take care of that little problem? Or could you put, sheets in that go across? And just all kinds of things. Yeah, it would add a little bit of weight, but you're not talking about much. Maybe 3 to 5 pounds, and all of a sudden you have usable cargo areas where things would actually slide on a wooden slat floor or something, instead of trying to wrestle it in between fuselage sections and all. Yeah, it's interesting. It is very interesting, and keeps me out of trouble, which is always a good thing. Alrighty, it's a cold morning, and we got the heater on, and the batteries in the mobile studio are down to, their lowest level, so we'll see how long this holds out. Shave of the day today was Omega Shaving Cream with the Samog Owners Club brush thrown in and lathered up in my electric scuttle. Straight razor shave with none other than a gold dollar straight razor. And, I've got a couple of them, and they actually work pretty good. So, if you want to have a choice that is inexpensive in the straight razor section, it's not a bad choice. It's not going to last forever with a shave-ready blade and everything, but, for every now and then, it's not bad. And if you do like I've done in the past, where you have a safety razor shave and then you use the straight razor to, get, absolutely BBS in certain areas, it's probably not a bad choice. Now, one thing that I have to talk about is the Omega soap. Okay, so I've had this tube of Omega soap for a while, and it's a plastic tube, the kind that once you squeeze the stuff out, the air goes back in and, it just kind of sits there. It's not like an aluminum tube that when you squeeze it out, it stays squeezed out, like in L'Occitane or Spike or something like that. And that has caused a problem. Now, I've had this tube for a while, so, 9 months, years, something like that. It has developed, for lack of a better term, it has developed clots, okay? And the problem with this is that as I squirt a little bit out, and again, you're only supposed to have almond size, as I squirt a little bit out, less than the optimal comes out, and then it stops. And then when you squeeze harder to get past the, clot, then a whole bunch just kind of goes spoosh out of the tube, and now you have double, triple, or sometimes more soap sitting in the lather bowl, wasted. So, lather's great, but it's developed clots. So, I wanted to mention that because if you happen to have soap that is in a tube, like that, a plastic tube, not like a toothpaste tube, but a plastic tube. Alrighty, batteries replaced in the mobile studio. Mobile studio gassed up. Life is good. So anyhow, like I was saying, on the tube of Omega, if the only way that I can think of to mitigate the risk of developing clots in the tube is to store the thing so that store it on its cap so that it's facing down. That way, any air is up at the top of the tube. Well, actually at the bottom of the tube, because you're essentially storing it upside down. And any clots that develop due to exposure to oxygen. And I'm assuming, now granted, it's an assumption, but I'm assuming that's what's causing it. And anyhow, any clots would then be up at the furthest away from the outlet of the tube, as it were. And that way you get the most product out of the tube, and you can continue to enjoy your soap as long as possible. So one caveat, I guess, of having soap or creams or whatever in tubes is that exposure to oxygen as it's being used. Again, only a case in plastic tubes, not the situation at all in aluminum tubes. So just something to keep in mind. But I wanted to talk about it. So there you go. But, yeah, good shave of the day. Not too bad, socially acceptable, smooth on the cheeks, you know, because gosh, you can do that with a straight razor. I mean, you can get really smooth on the cheeks. Didn't put as much time into the neck area as I need to get anything better than socially acceptable with a straight razor, but, it's good in my estimation to at least utilize the straight razor, you know, every now and then, so that I keep in practice and keep my hand going, as it were. You know, it's kind of like handwriting. If you do it every day, it gets to the point where you get good at it, and then it's, even when you're going fast, it still isn't too bad. And so there you go. Just I don't know, some reflections on the shave of the day. Well, I happened to be looking at my Facebook account today and just kind of scrolling through the feed, as it were, and lo and behold, I got a piece of news that, well, I look forward to. I thought that, yeah, this is good stuff. Now, previously, there was a soap manufacturer in England, and he produced a soap under the company name of the Wickham Soap Company. And I have several soaps from the Wickham Soap Company, and it is good stuff. I really, really enjoyed the Wickham soaps, and the super smooth soaps. Spice Trade is really, really nice. Yeah, old spicy type smell, just good stuff. Anyhow, he had gone out of business, much to my dismay, because it was, like I said, a very, very nice soap. Well, lo and behold, as I was rolling through my feed, it's none other than Darren over at the Wickham Soap Company, making the proclamation that he is, in fact, back in business. So this is great stuff for the wet shaving community, because, like I said, the soaps that the Wickham Soap Company produces, well, they're good. They really are, and I have always enjoyed them greatly. So, you know, if you have an opportunity, check out Wickham soaps. Check out the multiple varieties of soaps that are available at Wickham. If you happen to run into Wickham's soap out there, yeah, give them a try. You will not be disappointed, because it is good stuff. So I just thought I'd share that really, really good news. It's nice to have somebody come back into business. Hopefully make a go of it and do some good things. And you know, we wish them all the best, and we'll continue to use the soaps from time to time. And well, there you go. Well, this is not good. Usually when you see cars in a line of traffic turning around in said line of traffic, it usually means that there's something going on, and it's not good. So, yeah, it looks like a train is coming, so we'll bypass that situation and take a shortcut. It is good to know, just in case you never have, if you're like some people, you follow the absolute same route every single day to work. Now, the question is, do you know the shortcuts and potential detour possibilities around that route? Because sometimes it's important to move and to go in those different directions to get around obstacles and things. So, do you know those ways? And if not, sometimes it's worth exploring. So something to think about, something to keep in mind. Yeah, and apparently this has been going on a while, because here at the other side of this, well, obstruction, as it were, there's a pretty good line of vehicles as well. So, yeah, and of course, nobody will let you out. It's, wow, that's just, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Now, golly, I gotta tell you, I get annoyed at people that that aren't courteous to each other. It's just, I just get annoyed at it. And the worst part? It's never the truck drivers. It's always the people in cars. They're the ones that are not courteous to each other. They're the ones that are not willing to let each other in. Truck drivers, on the other hand, typically understand well what it's like to not be able to go one way or another or to get places, and they are a little bit more courteous to each other. But people in cars have a tendency to, not be. Just irritating. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but, in the greater scheme of things, the people that I find to be most prone to rudeness are people in cars. That may be bad to say. I don't know. It's just one of those things, I suppose. Okay, so one of the things that I have been noticing is people have gotten sensitive to little issues. It's gotten to the point where if something small comes up, people kind of look at you and expect you to react negatively over small, insignificant stuff. And it's almost like there is a hypersensitivity to issues. And people have an expectation of hypersensitivity. And personally, I have gotten to a point in my life where I don't sweat the small stuff, and unless it's catastrophic, I'm not going to really worry about it. I'll work around it. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, even if it's an annoyance, okay, so what? It's an annoyance. We'll try to prevent it from happening next time, but for right now, it's just an annoyance. It's not a catastrophe. It's not the end of the world. It's just an annoyance. And I don't react to annoyances typically. I don't know. I don't have time. I've got so much other stuff going on and so much other stuff that I'm thinking about. I don't have time for annoyances. And, yeah, it's kind of like that. So, but it's interesting because people act like I'm supposed to. And they act like it's normal for people to, basically fly off the handle over, annoyances. And I'm thinking, wow, how have we gotten here that just little annoyances are enough to fling somebody off the deep end, I mean, I look at stuff like people, not allowing you to come in a vehicle and, not giving you room and, not letting you pass and things like that. Okay, it's an annoyance, but it's more of an indicator than anything else. I mean, I'm not upset about it. Well, I'm upset for my community as a whole. Let's put it that way, but I'm not, upset in general about it. I kind of question it and go, what the heck? What's wrong with you people? Is this how you normally act to each other? God, no wonder everybody's all pissed off. But it doesn't necessarily upset me personally. Because there's nothing I can do about it anyhow. I mean, it is what it is. People are going to act the way they're going to act. And, but it's interesting that people that I interact with act like I'm supposed to be upset, and they've even questioned me and, well, aren't you? And, they're kind of questioning, aren't you upset about this? But no, it's, just one more thing, it's not that big a deal. It's not the end of the world. Okay. So, I got to change something or I got to do something. Okay. If it's at work, heck, that's what they pay me to do, is be flexible and adaptable to things. And if I'm out here in public, if I can't change it, The only thing that I can change is how I react to things, not how other people do things. And so I've chosen to react by, well, not getting terribly upset about it all. Heck, I can't change it anyhow, so what's the point? I mean, if I get upset about it, all it does is raise my blood pressure, get me upset, and it's like it doesn't change anything. So it's just curious. And I've noticed that more and more, so I just kind of wanted to comment on it because it's really strange. And, and maybe it is just the simple acts of things like, wet shaving in the morning or, using a fountain pen to write and just slowing down a little bit and, contemplating life and not being in such a big, huge hurry. Maybe that in and of itself is enough to at least start to set the tone that allows me to just kind of go, okay, it is what it is, deal with it. And laugh at things, Maybe that's all it takes. Conscious effort to change just a few things in your life to slow down and put things kind of back into perspective, Make yourself a good cup of coffee and realize that, okay, somebody cuts you off or whatever, and it gives you an opportunity to take another sip of really good coffee, and, well, life is good because you're breathing. Maybe that's all it takes. I've often said that something as simple as shaving, it's not just about shaving. It's about a lifestyle. It's about a life choice. It's about an attitudinal adjustment. And I'm becoming more and more convinced of that because my fellow brethren who do not take the time to, relax, kick back, have a good shave, write something by hand, make good coffee, cook a good breakfast in a cast iron pan. People that don't do that, I find them to be, more stressed. And less able to laugh at things. And it may be that, just those little nuances in life that, at least to me, make life kind of worth living. Maybe it's those little things that if you start putting them in place, reading a good book, things like that, learning things, thinking about things. Maybe it's those little adjustments in your life that need to take place in order for you to be, ultimately a happy person and not, not be upset all the time. Now granted, I must admit, watching the nightly news is prone to making someone exceptionally grumpy. There's no doubt about that. And there are some people that I think watch the news all the time. Now, I'll admit, I'm kind of a news junkie, but at the same time, I limit my exposure to it, and I choose where and when and, all the places that I get it from. And I don't just get it from one place. I get it from a multitude of places, which kind of balances things out and allows me to, have different perspectives on things, because I'm a firm believer that the news media and journalism in general is probably one of the greatest marketing schemes that there is out there. And and I choose to, not be party to it. Just me. But anyhow, yeah, I often wonder, maybe the world just needs a decent shave. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at brushandsoapandblade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at Brush and Blade. You can also visit us at our blog, brushandsoapandblade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.